Good morning, viewers. Welcome to Frankly Speaking with Vibhuti Jha. It is truly remarkable that the year 2020 that started with such good signs of 2020 giving us a hindsight to lead a good life, soon enough the world is now wondering how soon that this year 2020 must get over. Now let's look at it this way. What started this year with a remarkable tragedy of Wuhan virus, China virus, COVID-19, call it as you like, but it started from China in Wuhan labs. So let's begin with the conversation. I'm really pleased and happy to have with me my friend, Mr. Surinder Rametra ji, who is a very successful businessman, entrepreneur in computer business in the past, and he's deeply involved in business activities all over the world. He's a philanthropist and an activist, a very prominent Indian in Long Island area. And I think he's known around the United States very well. So Surinder ji, welcome to the show. And I would want you to begin. I mean, I have thrown lots of items, but that is the framework of our conversation today. But what I want to start you with is the glorious work that you have been doing with reference to Shanti Foundation as a volunteer organization to support victims of coronavirus. So Surinder ji, tell us more about Shanti Foundation, what it is doing, and take us further into the trip. And then we will revert to other topics as well.
Thank you very much, Vibhuti Ji. First of all, I want to take a disclaimer to my viewers and your viewers that Vibhuti Jha is a very good friend of mine. So if he has said so nice word about me, please discount as you feel fit. Having said that, let me start with why and when I started this particular project, which currently is very popular in India. Everybody knows that 2020 has been not good to anybody. Most of us feel we are self-prisoners, self-proclaimed prisoners, and we have so many restrictions, just like you said, that we have to wear the mask, we have to keep the social distance or the distance. All these restrictions we were not used to from last several years. About 2 months ago, I was under the same kind of a pressure that I cannot just sit home and do nothing, cannot go out of my own choice. So one of my friends, whose name is Rohit Mansalkar, lives in Las Vegas, very popular person in the fund business, and he retired. So I said, Rohit, tell me, either you have to get me some job or you have to get me a project. At my question, he just laughed. He says that you have so many projects, why don't you take a little bit your own breathe and find out what project will mostly inspire you. And that was the beginning of what I thought, that I do have a Shanti Foundation, which has been so far only related to family or my own small village, or own small containment, how I can do something about that. I took upon myself at that time to update my website, try to assemble the people who I felt that they are like-minded, and I started a particular program under the advice of a lot of my friends and family and my advisors even, including Vibhuti. The name of that yatra we started is COVID-19 Food Distribution Yatra. This yatra we started from Pune. It has already been gone to Chennai, Bangalore, and Rajasthan. And some of the other states which we want to visit, they are UP, Bihar, Delhi, and maybe Calcutta and Jammu and Kashmir. So that is the mission what we took it on. So At this stage, I would also like to say what was the Shanti Foundation mission from the inception. It, it always have propagated or it has professed this mission as woman empowerment, rural educational programs, helping destitutes, working on the healthcare and like healthcare and environment projects. Considering those our mission, we felt that the people at this point need some help. Government of India is giving a lot of help. They are giving the help on the basis of what the people who have the Aadhaar card, who had ration card. But I wanted to penetrate to the area where I will not be asking Aadhaar card, or we will not be asking the ration card, but we will be finding out the people who got displaced because of COVID-19 and go to those rural areas in even this whole country wide, wherever we have red zone or something, not considering those things. So our volunteers, the first thing I had to profess to those people that our aim is to take the police help, take the help of the regulatories in those areas, and then and only then we will be assigning that that particular projects. So far, it has been done very successfully, and I'm very proudly can say that it has been done much beyond my expectations. It has already been gone to Chennai, Bangalore, and Rajasthan. And some of the other states which we want to visit, they are UP, Bihar, Delhi, and maybe Calcutta and Jammu and Kashmir. So that is the mission what we took it on. So at this stage, I would also like to say what was the Shanti Foundation mission from the inception. It always have propagated or it has professed this mission as woman empowerment, rural educational programs, helping destitutes, working on the healthcare and like healthcare and environment projects. Considering those our mission, we felt that the people at this point need some help. Government of India is giving a lot of help. They are giving the help on the basis of what the people who have the Aadhaar card, who had ration card. But I wanted to penetrate to the area where I will not be asking Aadhaar card, or we will not be asking the ration card, but we will be finding out the people who got displaced because of COVID-19 and go to those rural areas in even this whole country wide, wherever we have red zone or something, not considering those things. So our volunteers, the first thing I had to profess to those people that our aim is to take the police help, take the help of the regulatories in those areas, and then and only then we will be assigning that that particular projects. So far, it has been done very successfully, and I'm very proudly can say that it has been done much beyond my expectations. Again,
congratulations for such a stupendous work that you have done, and I'm very proud of you. You are a friend and major philanthropist. You have used your initiatives and reach to really help people. That has been your mission of life, as I know you. Having concluded that part of the conversation, I wanted to also ask you that your opinion on this. Although there is so much of information flow that sometimes we end up repeating what the world is talking to us. But India-China relationship has been a remarkably love-hate, bitter, seeking a better time. So it has been a very challenging relationship between India and China. And the history of India-China relationship goes back to quite some years, but it gathered great momentum in the 1990s, 1919, when China and India were kind of playing the same game of getting out of the imperial clutches. Then there was a romance with Nehru and Chiang Kai-shek in terms of doing what they were doing. And India has ceded. And if you look at the history of it, between Chiang Kai-shek and Mao Zedong, where the Chinese were always realpolitik, practiced the art of realpolitik in dealing with India, Nehru's regime was always romanticizing the relationship with China. So much so that, it is a historical fact that the Congress party led by Nehru, ceded ground to China for Ladakh region. Not a blade grows, not a blade of grass grows there, or surrendering the United Nations Security Council seat. These are matters of public knowledge now. And how China advanced and taught the lesson to India in 1962 and established it took over Tibet, is now encircling India with Nepal, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka. So there's a famous saying, as a Hindi में कहते हैं, एक म्यान में दो तलवारें नहीं रह सकती. So in the geopolitics of Asia, China is very comfortable accepting a South Korea or a Japan as an economic power because they know that politically and population-wise, China can always overwhelm them. But India becomes the second sword in Asia, has democracy, has equal number of people, and it is a perpetual threat to China in geopolitical sense. So how do you view the recent clashes that have happened, and how the Chinese incursion is again testing India? And the world now knows, and Prime Minister has said, and everybody has said, this is not 1962, it is 2020. And you remember one thing, one of the key reasons of 1962 war with China was that we had scaled down the capacity of defense productions in India. While Indian armed forces did remarkably well in Second World War, they were rendered very weak. And at that time, when the Air Force of India asked to be participating in the 1962 war, Nehru said no. Today, those Air Force officials are saying, at that time, India had superior air power. We would have stopped China. So share your thoughts on this, because India has to take a decisive step. Sure. Politics of bonhomie, friendship, smiling is over. It is real hard politics. It's a real politic in play.
I fully agree with whatever you have said about the India-China relationship. But let me expand to what you have said before, not repeating the same things. In 1962, China did come to our country and probably went to hundreds of miles in our main territory.
Surinder ji, I will request you to look at me as you are doing right now.
Okay.
Otherwise, a lot of time you seem to be looking up to the right and left.
No. So let me expand to what you have said.
Right.
Number one, 1962, our relationship, what we wanted to create was like bye-bye, Indo-China bye-bye. It was a good dream, but they did not understand that India was a democratic country and China is only a self-contained group who managed that whole thing. So they cannot be bye-bye. We have to be aware of them. Having said that, let's go further. During Nixon time, Kissinger is the person who said that China is a sleeping lion and we cannot ignore that. China always had a view that how it can expand its strength, whether by I mean, political, they don't have any political thing, but whether they can talk politically or talk some kind of a way that they can convince the world. I can keep on going about the China, that type of the behavior, but this is the background of China. Now, recently, we started BRICS. The partners are Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. If I missed anything, you can fill in.
Yes, that's correct. BRICS
Okay.
is that.
BRICS is that. BRICS was about 10, 15 years ago. Anybody who can think geopolitical drama or that kind of Mahabharat, I felt that this is a very great combination. If China and Russia can join together, India owes a lot to Russia because from the partition 1947, Russia is the only country who has been helping India, whatever is needed, whether in proxy, whether in the barter system, whether in putting some more schools in India, they have been quite helpful. So it will be not wise for India not to join Russia. So the game at that point, political game at that time was that how they can keep the distance, the same social distance between China and Russia. So that particular dream is still there, but that is on the sideline at this point of the Mahabharata. The recent Mahabharata is that there's two economies in the world. One is America and one is China. And second person, and even if I am a sportsman, I know that if I lost, I have to find a way how I can win back. So I'm not blaming China at this point, but their view is that how they can be number one economy. Whether at this point we believe that, but this is their main motive. For that purpose, they have tried to spread their wings all over Southeast Asia. Southeast Asia means they have their influence to Australia, Japan, and all those people. So in our culture, they also say, Dushman ka dushman is a friend. Right now, China is trying to pressure all these countries in the Southeast Asia just to show its own wing, nothing more than that. Now, recently, if you have seen in last 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, and I feel that Modi ji has done very nicely to control how this Mahabharata is not spreading in a very bad way. Today, you have seen how many visits Australia has made in India, and as compared to other 50 years of the in India democracy. How many times, Japan has come to India to show that. How many times even USA has been trying to say that now they want to acknowledge that. Until 1947 to 2015, nobody acknowledged that India is a such sort of a influence. So not elaborating too much on that particular part, the Mahabharata at this point, what we all know, is not East Korea, North Korea, but the touching point will be Kashmir only.
You have introduced many elements in this conversation.
China from the last few years.
We'll come to that. We'll come to that. You have talked about varieties of things in terms of geopolitical play, and that Australia, Japan, and Prime Minister Modi has done a stupendous job in refurbishing India's position in the world, and also India's standing in the world. Conveyed to the world that India can be a good partner in economic miracle, make in India part of it. So India is now a center of attraction for quite a few countries in the world, and China fears that. And thus it is trying to engulf India, encircle India through, its smaller neighbors to create a pinprick in India's political life. However, it is important to remember in the geopolitical sense that China will not be accepting India's role. You are totally right that in sports, everybody wants to win the game. So China wants to be the number one. And America they want to beat America. So there is an important element here. How do you play the game, right? You can score a goal by breaking your opponent's leg. The other one is you really play fair and square and win the match. Is China playing a fair and square match, or is it trying to bully people into doing that? In my opinion, China has become a bully nation. They have no democracy. They live in secrecy. There is no transparency. You can never get honest data from China. Nobody knows how many people have died. So China lives in a lack. There is total lack of transparency from China, and their intent is to global domination. And you know about their killer contracts for poorer countries in Africa, where they price the contract in such a way, they put the conditions in such a way that people will end up selling their land to China. China will become a new landowner, a colonialism of a different kind. So the question here is, India is being looked upon by many Asian countries who are fed up of Chinese bullying tactics to stand up. And that is where China decided to take this, to use the Bombay language, colloquial language, they decided to take this authoritarian panga with India in the Ladakh region to show that India will never be able to match it, but India did. So India did. So the question here is again very important. Why did China do this? China has so much adverse things on its plate. Wuhan virus, the world leadership and the world people must find out, how did it happen? Who did it? Was it a mistake, or it was a trial of a bioweapon? I do not know. We can only conjecture. The question is that the world with technology, advanced human intelligence must find out, how did it happen? I remember in Forbes magazine, a Norwegian scientist had said that this particular virus did not evolve on its own. It was a creation. It's not a mutation. It was a creation. Within minutes, I read that article. Within the minutes, I forwarded that article to several of my friends, and Forbes magazine had taken it down. The rumor went around, the Chinese pressured Forbes magazine to take that article down. So there is a tremendous amount of secrecy about where it happened, how it happened. I think the United States and the world has realized that eventually democratic structure of India is more amenable to a decisive action than a dictatorial, lack of transparent country like China, which has been only bullying the world. So look at Hong Kong, look at Taiwan, look at previously Doklam, and now the new scrap with India. These are all created to divert the attention from the actual problem that exists. So people in geopolitics do play diversionary tactics to take attention away. Your thoughts on that?
I have not much different thought than what you have mentioned, and you have very eloquently put those things in a proper way. Right at this point, India is considered as a solution to the world, but India has to change, or they have to revisit their thoughts internally. India is capable of providing all the technology and all the help what the people in the world needs. India has all the capabilities what China has. But their internal disputes, frustration of the lot of people, the party, political confusion in the country, corruption to add there, they have to be somehow not I will say eliminated, but has to be put in control. India, again, I said that I 100% agree. India is considered as the next, China as far as considered. But how the environment will happen, how the things will happen, it has to depend upon the lot of discipline within our own, political forum too. Our politics goes only, I someday, one time I told you, politics is just to say opposite to whatever is the ruling party. I agree, that's not a bad thing. But always pulling the leg of the other people and not helping them, that's not politics either. So in United States, we might be very much having different view about Democrat and Republican, but when the situation comes, they do combine, they do join, they do work together on those things. But that is the type of the spirit we still have to culture it, because our independence is only from 1947. Their independence is more than 200 years. So they are more, this country is more cultured on that basis. And I'm not talking again, presidential wise, that who did better and who did
No, we will come to that, but that's very important.
Don't take to that level.
Yeah.
But India, I 100% feel that if we together can convince the people that, guys, you have your political differences, keep the political differences aside. One party cannot make India great, okay? If the Congress and if the Communist Party and the 45 other national parties can say that we will be able to join ourselves in one area. Now, when I was talking about the China's road to Pakistan through India line of thing. You're only talking about Ladakh. They want to even penetrate to India through Pakistan. Okay. Now, Pakistan is not a very different country. If Modi ji says that I will not like anybody to discuss that particular part, this is our internal thing. It is not internal thing. It is that your own internal people, which we call Pakistan, is a part of our culture. In India, there is 17% of the population of 1.4 billion. You can calculate how much it is. It is much more than in Pakistan or any single Muslim state. Okay, so this is the type of the philosophy is going on. But India has to learn how to come up out of that.
No, you have talked about very well about India needs to tighten the belt when it comes to in relation to global presence. China, Pakistan, and neighbors and the rest of the world has high expectation from India. And India and Indians will have to tighten their belt to rise up to this occasion and expectation for their own good. So while democracy is chaotic, and India's democracy is truly chaotic, with the regional satraps pulling their own pound of flesh, claiming their own pound of flesh, it is a challenge for Indian leadership to establish the political narrative in such a way that the globe understands that. And I totally agree with you on that we are a very chaotic democracy in which everybody is pulling their own little punch, whatever they can deliver. Having said that, it's time for India and Indians to recognize this fact that only talking will not help. Boycotting China goods is not enough unless you are able to manufacture and meet the demands of the people and the consumers in India. Globally, military alliances are changing. You are absolutely right when you earlier said about India-Russia relationship, because Russia is the one which has stood with India through thick and thin from 47 onwards. If Russia had not been with India, Kashmir would have gone long, long back per UN directive, which in my opinion was a remarkably stupid thing on behalf of Nehru, to refer the matter to those who didn't mean well to you, and an institution that was itself in its nascent stage of founding. What expertise and those British and the colonial rule was in India. So how did Nehru send the matter where we were in a winning position vis-a-vis Pakistan. I kind of disagree with you on one aspect. When you said that Pakistan people culturally are our own. No, they are not. They are religiously very different than us, than India the way we are. We practice secularism. They don't. They are Islamic Republic. And that's where the wedge comes in. Their hatred for India is because we are a Hindu country. And majority of Hindus are here in this country. They cannot accept the fact that the land that they ruled, their clan ruled for as many years, is now a bigger, more powerful, more prosperous nation. So they are always looking at China to counterbalance India. But they know now that they have lost that war. If China and America do not support Pakistan, the country is already falling in both its legs. It doesn't have any leg. So let's put that conversation aside. But it's very important to come to one more conversation. You talked about US relations. Well, India and US have had a very bizarre relationship with a lot of ambition of the strategic initiative, natural partners, a lot of nice words thrown in the relationship, but it has never been a trusting relationship. Now the phrase is that, well, we can have our differences, but we can agree on common aspects, and that common aspect is economic and business. That democracy brings us together. So how will this marry up? Because India has a socialist structure. US is today talking about socialism bringing in the United States. So tell us about, share with your thoughts on Indo-US relationship. What is that one thing that you will tell Mr. Trump or the US presidency of whoever that they must do to win Indian friendship? And what one thing that Prime Minister Modi must ask the United States to do to win India's confidence?
It's a very touchy point. I'm a born citizen of India, and I have accepted my citizenship in the United States. I mean, the worst thing is that United States always took, even today, we have not seen any kind of a solid building between Modi and Trump, or between India and United States. From Kennedy time, we have been very much, they were interested to have some kind of a relationship. We have to think about what stops that. Okay, if I want to say that India is doing bad, USA is doing bad, not true. But we have not done any solid thing so far, except for verbiage, effect for just politically consoling each other, okay? The fear even is, and let's assume that I'm going back to my own thing, if there is a third world war, if the only type of the confidence India has, that if there is a war between certain known partners, USA may not take participation, but they will not favor India. Okay. Now, that's a very different chapter why that relationship has started. Maybe some mistakes have been done at that time during 1947 and this and that, our sending the uranium ores to the Russia and doing that. I'm not saying that it is not true, but at that time that was our need. But today our need is to be together. So without saying enough about politically those things against India or USA, I think I will restrict my conversations on that.
No, it is important for simple reason is that China has made every country unhappy in the world. You are aware of the fact that Chinese played the game much better than Americans did. I call China, with due respect, China is the Frankenstein that the West and the United States created. With due respect to Chinese people and the Chinese government, because its philosophy is different. Its
I agree.
philosophy is different. And now it is becoming a real pain in the global peace scenario, because Chinese are operating on only one principle: my way or highway. And that is the part, I mean, if the world is not aware of the killer, it's called killer contract for a reason, that the Chinese have done with the sovereign fund, whether in Africa or even Pakistan CPAC. Now the stories are that the Pakistan itself wants to sabotage CPEC because they know that they will never be able to fulfill the terms and conditions of the contract, and they will have to auction or surrender their land as a collateral to China. So to think about it from this point of view is that it is a very dangerous situation, and India is the only country in that region that can contain. So you talked about a likely scenario of a third world war. Of course, who joins whom in this war will be function of who the third world war is with. You know, whether it's a religious war between Islam and Christianity all over again, or it is between countries specific, China and United States and the West and the communist philosophy, then where Russia goes. And, you know, so these are all play in the whole thing. But it's very important to know that the news came about that there was a very strategic intent in America withdrawing soldiers from the German base and moving them to Asia. Think about it. It's a very, to contain the Chinese flagration. So that is a very important signage. Japan needs protection. Japan and Korea, they all operate under the nuclear umbrella of United States. That's why those countries don't have nuclear weapons. And Japan can't be left alone. And Japan knows that China will never be its friends, and that's why it is trying to befriend India. So these are all political elements, but that brings me to other aspect of this. You, as born Indian citizens and American citizens here, so we both have a role. We are both immigrants in this country. We have done well, and every Indian has done well on best effort basis. My question is, why is it that most Indians are taken for granted to be Democrats? But because essentially, most Indians are culturally conservative, economically seeking better life, and that is both possible in this country. What makes Indians, Dama, you shook hands with Bill Clinton and, you know, things like that.
That one I can answer without any problem.
Good. So I'm wondering, why must Indians voluntarily say that we are Democrats and 80% of Indians vote Democrats, whereas Democrats have not done much. Look at Joe Biden's campaign rhetoric. It's totally anti-India. You know, a person who has been in Senate for as many years, the party he represents has garnered 90% of the black votes. And the Black Lives Matter is an issue today, which means they have done nothing. They have treated Black lives as a vote bank, just as Congress Party treated Muslims as a vote bank. Muslims complain of not progressing. The question is, but then you were with Congress Party. Ask them. Why blame the rest of the country for that? Likewise, the Black Lives Matter is serious issue of racial discrimination in this country. The Democratic Party is responsible for that because they have got 90% of those votes. Now, Democratic Party is now aligning with the Muslim vote bank. And now they are touting anti-India statements. Should Indians be voting against Democrats and block and assert their clout?
Okay. Let me give you my view about politics a little bit. That is my personal, so it has nothing to do with any nation or anything. When I came to this country, the president was Nixon.
Mm-hmm.
And of all the good, bad things he did, I still feel that he was a very good president. Okay. And that is how I enrolled myself in 1976 as a Republican citizen. But in last 4 years, 5 years, what I have seen the drama of Republican play, I went and put myself as an independent. Okay. Another thing which is very important when I'm talking about this politics, my own family, one of my older Tayaji was Congress. Right? My father was a Jan Sangh, RSS, and the BJP related party. And you can imagine that how much confusion will be that if two brothers start talking about this, and they are very, very astute in their own life, that which party it is. To me, Republican and Democrat both, if you go back for the history, or if you go back by the history of India, whether BJP or Congress, or some other parties, even communist parties, did not expand beyond South and Calcutta, but their aim, if it is a selfless aim, if their aim is to enhance the country, empower the people of the country, I respect that. And in both Republican and Democrat, you will see the president have been who went as a selfless. Okay. So I don't think, if you really want to analyze agenda of Democrat or Republican, except for during the time of the election, their agenda should be that they have a Congress, they have a Senate, they have the judiciary department. It should be only focusing for all the people, not one sector of the people. On that basis, even though Modi ji is from the RSS group or something, and they label him as a Hindu state or something. Just don't stop me. This is an important thing to understand. You and I am sitting here in United States, and we don't have any hesitation to call ourselves Americans. The people, like, I'm not purposely using the word, but this is happening. People like Muslim culture in India, they did not go to Pakistan, they stayed in India, and they don't want to call themselves Hindu. That's a Hindu state. That is Hindu. Hindu is not a religion, my friend. Hindu is not a, Hindu is a culture, okay? The combination of all the people living in, if they don't want to call Hindus, they can call Bharatiya, they can call Indian, but they should not, and they should understand that between Hindu and Bharat and India, there's no difference. It's only political difference, which the people from time to time flag that. If we cannot resolve or dissolve that particular issue, I think Modi ji is doing a good job. If he won the election first time, or he won the election this time with that much majority, he cannot win it without the Muslim votes. You agree or disagree?
Yes.
If Kashmir was voted by the Rajya Sabha almost 123 votes, he cannot do this without the help of the other parties. Because our Rajya Sabha, we don't have even majority over there. And that Kashmir 370 was passed overnight. So the Modi ji is doing quite a few things, which I admire that. He's doing selflessly, and he's doing it very indirectly. He believes, he knows the real situation, that if he fight with Pakistan, Pakistan stands nowhere. But if we start Pakistan, then this Mahabharata is going to be in our backyards. You are talking about the same thing, that that is what is in the mind of Modi ji. That's what I believe. I'm not a mind reader either, but that's what I believe that he is doing. He's making a friendship with Israel, friendship with Australia, friendship with, what did Modi do when he became first-time president, prime minister? He went to all the other countries where there is a Buddhist temples, and he went to the, and if you have not noticed, I want you to go back and notice every place he went, whether it is Bangkok, whether it's Cambodia, whether any place, he went first. When he went is where the Buddhist temple is, and went to take the blessing for that. The reason is he believes even that Buddhist people there in the world, they are Hindus too.
Yeah, I noticed that. I definitely noticed that. The point is very simple here.
Yeah.
Is that this
I'm
is
saying
this
that
is
he's
definitely
playing a very
true.
simple playing game in his Chanakya policy. I think that is what he is playing as a political party, that he wants to become strong. His country should be noticed by the world as a strong country, which since he has come, every place in the world, India is known as a good country.
Correct. And that's the point which I'm trying to drive at.
What is happening in the
Surendraji, what I wanted to basically know is, having seen Biden's campaign statements and releases on India's
what we will
efforts.
accomplish. Let's assume that Trump goes, and Biden comes. Will they make any difference to the ordinary person here? No.
No. That's what I'm trying to say to you is, my question is initially was about why Indians en bloc vote Democrats, whereas it need not. It must not, in my opinion.
They are hungry of the. They are only hungry of the votes.
Exactly. The point which I'm trying to say is that why are Indians not exercising their wider judgment that Biden and Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, these have all sold themselves out against India. And they're challenging India's efforts to bring protection to minorities. It is almost blasphemous of Democratic Party to be doing that. That's the point which I'm trying to. Now, as we are heading to the close of
without going into that details, that we, India and USA, we cannot depend upon USA if any need would come.
That's okay. I mean, there are fair weather friends in politics. As the saying goes in politics.
परशुराम ने यही श्राप दिया था ना कर्ण को कि जब तुमको जरूरत पड़ेगी शस्त्रों की, तो शस्त्र तुम्हारे काम नहीं आएंगे.
That's right. That's right. So, totally agree. But that didn't change the history. It only changed the event. But the important part here is, let's shift to another element, which is you are part of a business entrepreneur. You are an entrepreneur, a business owner. Like every disaster produces an opportunity. And so what do you think? Which areas of the economy we see changing and emerging as a bigger one? So for example, I remember in 1991 when I came here, my company had already started the work for home practice for certain non-essential services, as it is known. The phrasing is non-essential, but they are essential too. So, but those, I would have said, those people who don't need to come to the building, an office building, but they can operate from home, work from home. Do you think this will revolutionize the real estate market, the residential markets, and the way the technology is driving? Today, you and I are able to talk real time anywhere in the globe, whereas at one point in time for free. Whereas in 1991, we used to pay $3.50 for a phone call to India. So, so the tectonic shift in technology has really brought about major events. So, even with a small iPhone and computer, we are connected. Our universe lives in our palm, literally. So the question here is, what economic opportunities you are seeing that may emerge as the time advances?
First, we have to understand that how long we are going to have this recession, and we are going to suffer from coming up from that recession. With the kind of the unemployment today, which is probably more or equal to the 1929 time frame. The only difference is that at that time, government did not have the instrument to feed the lot of money in the market to keep the market going on. The recession is still there. Small companies are still going to suffer a lot. Some small companies will come back, true. But this particular drama of economic growth. It's not economic growth. If you are seeing the market going to 30,000 points and in S&P 3,000 points or whatever that is, those are numbers. Those are not reality. Okay, reality is the poor people are becoming more poorer here. Even the people who do not have the job, they are not going to get the jobs. The situation in USA and worldwide, it is same. It's nothing different. I'm not talking that. Until the COVID, which we call it Rakshesh, we do not find what is his weakness, where we can kill him or her. And that is only the vaccination. We do not have that. Even the vaccination comes, do you think that the economy will be going back in the same route what it was? 2007 recession was very different. The recession was which we knew who were your Rakshesh, okay? Who were your bad points. Here, we do not know who we are fighting with. We can take the precaution and everything. Nobody, no doctor so far can tell you that what we are fighting. In 1918 Spanish flu, in 2003 SARS, in then Ebola in South Africa, they are all viruses, but they were able to find the cure. They were able to find that in time. Okay, here the transmission of the disease goes by touching. If Vibhuti, I meet with you and shake hand with you, and you do not know that if I am a positive, or I do not know you are a positive, that mask and other thing doesn't work anything. That I already transmitted you my disease, or vice versa. So that is the fear we have. The fear over here is far more than what you have been listening into the radios and TVs and everything. Whatever doctors give the speeches on that half an hour program, that's not the truth. True is that we can take the precaution. We wash our hand every half an hour. We put the sanitizer. Why? Because if you touch somebody, nobody knows. Everybody cannot. We have 330 million
Right.
people population. Everybody cannot be tested so quickly. Okay. So the fear of that, and I want to put you another way. When last year, it's 6 months before from today, did you had a fear that from here you want to go to India, you want to go to here, from here to some country? People have suppressed that type of feeling. Our feeling is not the same. Unless we are inspired back that yes, we are strong, we have been able to overcome this. The economy is not just these numbers in the stock market. Economy is that.
I totally agree with you. Just now we are running out of time, Surinder. It has been a great conversation to have, but one of the things which I feel that the world is going to see through a lot of changes, a lot of adjustments, a lot of consequences, and a lot of repercussions of things that are happening around us. What I feel, in my opinion, is that America's election this year is going to be very pivotal, because it will be a choice between law and order or chaos of the kind that we see, takeover of cities, destruction of historical monuments. I'm not going to the merits and demerits of it, but I'm trying to say to you that there is tremendous amount of pent-up frustration in people for whether it's Black Lives Matter, White Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matter, Indian Lives Matter, all lives matter. There are people are carving out their own agendas to put it in front. So I do not know if anyone in the world, including Democrats and even hardcore Democrats, are happy the way Seattle has been taken over. I don't know if anyone is happy about the distortion of political life that we see by the politicians. Because now politicians are the ones who have the mantle of leadership on them. Because there are 540 politicians, 100 senators, 400 Democrats who make up the leadership of America, just as 545 leaders of Lok Sabha make the leadership of Indian population. They reflect leadership. And today, what is sad is that that leadership is missing. And that is the problem, because people now are all empowered. Thanks to technology, Twitter, Facebook makes everybody a journalist, everybody an editor, an opinion maker. So we are living in a very different world at the moment. And American elections are going to be vital between the choice between lawlessness and law. Because economic growth depends a lot on the certainty of the system working by itself. So if people are trying to demolish the system, then people must remember that nobody came to America because it was a socialist country. People came to America to fulfill what was known as an American dream. So with these words, I'm ending this conversation. Thank you, viewers, for being with us. See you next week. Surinderji, thank you very much.
For having me.
And hope to have you again. It was a great experience. Have a wonderful weekend and a great week ahead. See you again next week.
Thank you.